Billionaire tested 4 people with black credit cards. What the janitor bought left the billionaire in tears. Before we begin the story, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love seeing our family from all around the world come together here. Victoria Steele was a woman known across the business world as one of the sharpest billionaires alive. At 42, she had built her empire from scratch. Luxury hotels, tech startups, even foundation that sponsored scholarships worldwide. Her name appeared on magazine covers, her face on television. Yet despite her wealth, Victoria felt something was missing. Over the years, she had seen money twist people, friends, partners, even family. They all seemed genuine until a black credit card entered the room. Then greed surfaced and true colors showed. So she designed an unusual experiment. One quiet afternoon in her Manhattan penthouse, Victoria placed 4 sleek black credit cards on her marble table. Each one had no limit. But these weren't just cards. They were mirrors, designed to reflect the hearts of those who held them. She invited 4 very different people to her private office the next morning. Eleanor Grant, a socialite, daughter of one of Victoria's business rivals, known for her taste in luxury. Daniel Reed, an ambitious young intern who always said he wanted to change the world. Marissa Clark, a struggling single mother and receptionist at one of Victoria's hotels. Henry Cole, the night janitor, a quiet man in his late 60s who always greeted everyone with a smile but rarely spoke about his life. When they arrived, Victoria explained the rules. You each have 24 hours. Use this card however you wish. Tomorrow, return it to me. I'm not testing your shopping skills. I'm testing your choices. What you buy will reveal who you are. The 4 looked at her in disbelief. Eleanor's eyes sparkled. Daniel looked nervous but excited. Marissa's hands trembled, while Henry simply nodded, sliding the card gently into his pocket. The test had begun. Eleanor Grant was the first to leave. She didn't waste a second. By mid-afternoon, she was already on Fifth Avenue, swiping the card at Cartier, Chanel, and Dior, a $45,000 necklace, a $30,000 handbag, 6 pairs of designer heels she didn't even try on. Her friends joined her later, squealing with envy. Eleanor laughed loudly, showing them the jet black card. "My dear," she bragged, "when a billionaire trusts you with one of these, it would be a crime not to indulge." By nightfall, she had spent nearly $500,000, all on herself. To Eleanor, the card was a golden ticket to flaunt her status. Daniel Reed left Victoria's office with trembling hands. He was only 24, still paying off student loans, still living in a shared apartment. The card in his pocket felt like destiny. Instead of shopping for luxuries, Daniel rushed to a real estate office. He put down a down payment on a sleek downtown apartment. Then he visited a dealership and bought a brand new Tesla, grinning ear to ear. But his biggest purchase came later that evening, an exclusive membership at a private entrepreneurs club, where networking with millionaires and billionaires promised a shortcut to success. In Daniel's mind, he wasn't being greedy. He was being smart. "Investing in myself," he told the agent. But deep down, he knew he hadn't thought of anyone but himself. Marissa Clark clutched the card like it was fragile glass. Her son, 8-year-old Liam, needed surgery she could barely afford. Her fridge was nearly empty, her rent overdue. With tears in her eyes, she rushed straight to the hospital billing office. She paid every cent of Liam's medical expenses in advance. Then she cleared her debts, bought new clothes and shoes for her son, and filled her small apartment with food. Later, she quietly purchased 10 backpacks filled with school supplies and left them anonymously at her church for children in need. By the end of the day, Marissa hadn't bought herself a single thing, not even a dress or a new pair of shoes. Everything went to her son and to other struggling mothers like her. Henry Cole, the janitor, left the office last. While the others looked exhilarated, he walked out slowly, shoulders slightly hunched. The card weighed heavily in his pocket. He didn't rush to any store. Instead, he went home to his small 1-bedroom apartment, where stacks of old photo albums lined the shelves. That evening, he made one phone call to the director of a local orphanage. The next morning, Henry walked into a modest grocery store. He didn't buy expensive wine or imported chocolates. Instead, he filled several carts with food, diapers, baby formula, and warm blankets. From there, he went to a discount bookstore, purchasing dozens of children's books, puzzles, and art supplies. Then he ordered a piano for the orphanage's music room, along with new beds for every child. By nightfall, the orphanage was buzzing with joy. Children clapped and cheered as boxes of toys and food arrived. The director hugged Henry with tears in her eyes. But Henry wasn't done. He made one final purchase, a simple bouquet of white lilies. He carried them quietly to a small cemetery and placed them on a grave. "Happy anniversary, Margaret," he whispered, kneeling before his late wife's tombstone. "I hope I made you proud today." The next morning, all four returned to Victoria's office. She sat behind her glass desk, her eyes sharp but unreadable. Eleanor strode in first, flaunting her diamond necklace. Daniel followed, adjusting his new designer suit. Marissa entered humbly, holding her son's hand. Henry came last, his shirt a little worn, his hands rough, carrying only a receipt-stuffed envelope. Victoria asked each of them to explain. Eleanor boasted about her shopping spree. Daniel proudly spoke of his investments. Marissa, with tears in her eyes, explained how she had saved her son's life. Finally, Henry cleared his throat and slid the envelope across the table. Inside were dozens of receipts from grocery stores, bookstores, and furniture suppliers. "I didn't need anything for myself," he said softly, "but the children at St. Mary's Orphanage did. My wife always wanted us to support them, but after she passed, I couldn't do much on my own. Yesterday gave me the chance to honor her wish." For the first time in years, Victoria felt her throat tighten. Silence filled the room. Eleanor rolled her eyes. Daniel shifted uncomfortably. But Marissa looked at Henry with admiration. Victoria leaned back in her chair, staring at the old janitor. "You spent every dollar, not on yourself, but on others?" Henry smiled faintly. "Mrs. Steele, I clean your office floors every night. I see how busy you are. I don't need wealth. I need peace. And giving to those children gave me more peace than money ever could." Victoria's eyes burned. She covered her face for a moment, then lowered her hands, tears slipping down her cheeks. All her life, she had tested people with money, and every time, greed revealed itself. But Henry, a man who earned barely enough to survive, had passed the test with a heart so pure it broke hers. Standing, she walked around the desk and took Henry's hand. "From today," she whispered, voice trembling, "you're no longer my janitor. You're the director of my new charitable foundation, and together we'll change lives, just like you did yesterday." Henry's eyes widened, his lips parting in disbelief. Eleanor gasped. Daniel turned pale. Marissa began to cry softly, clutching her son. Victoria looked at all of them and said firmly, "Money doesn't change who you are. It only reveals it." Within months, Victoria and Henry launched the Margaret Foundation, named after his late wife. Millions of dollars flowed into schools, orphanages, and shelters. Eleanor faded back into her socialite parties. Daniel continued chasing success, though doors began to close when people discovered his choices. Marissa thrived. With Victoria's help, she returned to school, built a career, and raised Liam in comfort. But Henry became the quiet soul behind a revolution of kindness. And every year, on his wife's anniversary, Victoria herself accompanied him to the cemetery, carrying lilies. Together, they honored the woman whose memory had inspired a janitor's choice, the choice that left a billionaire in tears.